Okay, it's time for a new video. Well, I suppose it's kind of a rant video, or kind of. And usually, normally I don't like calling out people because it's not the kind of person I'm about to start wars and stuff. But kind of had to do this because again, let's just say it's based on it's comic book movie related, and it involves the site that I don't particularly, I'm not a fan of comic book movie, and then how shows how much the site really shills, and it kind of involves Guardians of the Galaxy, where with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and it seems to be, what I've noticed with that site is that they seem to shill a lot for Marvel, even though they call themselves a comic book movie site, which is kind of a bit odd in itself. But what I've noticed this odd thing that when a Marvel film does well at the box office, or it's very well received by the critics and also by the paying public, they'll then sit there and start writing multiple articles about it, and then start trying to make up more articles just to basically shill out of that film. So currently, they're doing that with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and simply because of that, obviously, that it's been well received. Again, I haven't seen it, and it's nothing bitter because I'm a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and obviously being a comic book fan, whether it's Marvel or DC. So, and also I'm a big James Gunn fan. So it's not what I'm saying isn't being done out of malice in any shape or form, but it just kind of cracks me up on how that obviously it's been doing very well, and then it's opening previously been doing well, so obviously quite rightfully so, that it's making its money, and obviously the critics like it. So obviously now you see them really kind of obviously bootlicking the actual movie. But what's really weird is that when it's a Marvel movie that doesn't do very well, again they'll shill out of it and they'll bootlick the movie until let's say the reviews come out for it from the critics, and let's say if they find they don't like the movie, or they find the movie mediocre, and then obviously same with the general public don't like it, or then the movie, for example, underperforms, then within a week, comic book movie don't bother with the actual movie anymore. So they're very quick to kind of forget it. Now, the last movie they did this with was with Ant-Man 3. Now, again, I can't sit there and say too much whether the movie is good or not. I mean, because I've heard it's from some people it's a mixed bag from some people, and then obviously it didn't do very well in the actual cinema. I mean, it didn't necessarily bomb, but the amount of money that it kind of should have made, it underperformed. So it was struggling to basically break even in its in terms of profits. And then as soon as obviously it got to the second week of it being in the cinema, comic book movie just never bothered with the actual movie anymore, which I find it extremely weird. They didn't even care, and the only time they ever mentioned it again was when obviously there was release of it coming out to buy digitally, and obviously when it will be airing on Disney Plus. And they've done this with several other movies, where Marvel movies, especially obviously in Phase 4, where before they find out the box office takings and obviously the critics' review of it, as soon as it's bad, they just totally give up on it. And then as soon as it's obviously it's a movie that obviously it's the complete opposite, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, then they start then the next minute it's the best Marvel movie ever made, which if you're judging it by the Phase 4, that's not saying much. I mean, to be honest, with Phase 4, I haven't minded. So I don't mind it. I've sat there and then, for whatever how long the movie is, it's entertainment. But I'm not gonna lie and say that Phase 4 in some ways has been disappointing, because it actually has been. And I think that's considering that we've seen the Avengers in Infinity War and an Endgame, where those movies were just really epic. And then prior to that, we had obviously the Phase 1 and Phase 2, where obviously Marvel was coming into its prime. And I think obviously it hasn't been as good, and people expected, obviously with some of the characters like Captain America and Iron Man disappearing now. Same thing with Black Widow. The expectations that people have are high expectations from the next phase set of movies, and obviously they haven't exactly kind of done very well, or haven't been well received. So yeah, I can see where the kind of a disappointment has been. Obviously we've got Phase 5 coming out now, so hopefully Marvel get their act together and kind of buck up in terms of what they're going to do with the Secret War stuff that's going to be going on. So that'll be interesting in terms of what they're going to be doing with that. But yeah, I'm not going to lie and say that Phase 4 has been disappointing. I mean, there hasn't been kind of a real stand-up movie for me. Like Doctor Strange 2 was alright, it was enjoyable, had a lot of potential, but kind of didn't fulfill it for me. 4, Love and Thunder, to me it was too much of a comedy. It went kind of way too far for me. Eternals, great looking film, but just kind of boring. Black Widow, again, why? It's something that they should have done from the very beginning. They should have, from when they did Captain America Winter Soldier, they could have just easily done a thriller-esque type action movie similar to what they did with Winter Soldier, and they kind of never did that, and that was a disappointment in terms of what they could have done with that. Then you got that Shy Circles, I think it's called, whatever it's called. That I actually liked, because it was kind of really refreshing, because at least they were trying to do something different with kind of the Marvel movies. And then we've had, I'm trying to think what other movies we've had, because there's been so many of them. We've had Black Panther 2. Again, visually, looks really good, but to me, too many plot holes and just a bit boring. But yeah, I still enjoyed the movies overall. But to me, they were like a disappointment in terms of the potential. But it just cracks up how comic book movie are very quick to ramp up or hype up these movies. I mean, as soon as they don't do very well in the cinema, and then obviously with the critics as well, they just slowly sweep the movies under the carpet like it kind of never happened. And then obviously when they're successful, say like at the moment that Guardians of the Galaxy is starting to be, they completely change their tune. And that's why I've never really been a fan of people who shill companies, because for me, because the way I see it is that unless you're working for the company or you've got shares in the company, you really shouldn't be sitting there and like bootlicking the companies, because they don't owe you anything. Yes, they're providing you with a form of entertainment, whether it's with a video game company, whether it's say Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, Steam, or whoever, right? They don't, yeah, they're providing you with a form of entertainment, but I'm not going to sit there and kind of going to bootlick a company just because I like them. As for all those game companies, I like all of them, but they have their good points and have their bad points, and there's bad things that they do and there's good things that they also do. So I'll criticize it. I think I've said this before, I love Apple. I love doing it. I love the premium design of their stuff. Love their software interface. But there are things that I don't like, where the prices of the stuff are too expensive. Sometimes the wire quality isn't very good on their charge cables. Although they're changing. Rumor is that for the iPhone 15 set phones, they're changing to USB Type C, which is what they've done on the current new iPad. So at least that's going to be kind of good, because the lightning cable to me is crap, and they charge a lot of money for something that peels. And unless you're gonna spend money on a premium cable, which the last one I looked was like 40 plus quid, that's gonna cost you a lot of money for something that breaks very easily. And then you've got the lightning cable port, which isn't very good. I keep having problems with that with all my phones eventually. So I don't know. And then as a comic book fan, I've loved reading and love reading DC and Marvel stuff, whether it's the comics, the animated series, the movies, etc, etc. But I'm not going to sit there. Although I love them, I love reading all comic book stuff, I'm not going to sit there and gonna pander to a company. Yeah, I've made no qualms about that. I gravitate to DC a little bit more, and that's only because of certain characters that I kind of resonated with, like say Superman, and like characters like the Flash and Green Lantern, and characters like Superboy and Nightwing and the Batman, and those characters where I've always had a passion for those kind of characters. But then I still love Marvel characters as well, like Spider-Man, you've got Venom, you've got the X-Men, Iron Man, you've got Captain America, Hulk. There's so many characters like Nova, New Mutants. There's so many characters that I like on both sides of Marvel and DC, but I'm not gonna pander to the particular companies or start bootlicking or shilling them. There was even a time when I didn't like the way that DC treated the Wally West Flash in the comics, and what they did to like Nightwing at one point, and even how they treated the Superboy or the Connor Kent clone of Superman, the way they treated his character. But then over the years they've rectified those characters, but when they've treated those characters dirty, I've criticised them, because they are characters that I love and kind of grew up with, and the way they've treated these characters were kind of like bad. And just because, you know, like I'm a DC fan, it doesn't mean I'm gonna sit there and go, oh, why not? I'm gonna do, because I love DC, I'm not gonna make criticisms. There's been criticisms with the DC movies. Some of it I've seen has been justified, some of it hasn't been, because obviously, you know, you've got the fanboy wars. But comic book movie, as I said, calls itself a comic book movie site, but you can clearly see its bias. If you go on the site today, 90% of the new articles on there, they're all Marvel or mostly Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're just milking it simply just because of the fact that because of the positive things reviewed, which is quite rightfully, if you know, it's for me, if a movie is good, it's totally justified in it getting all the credits that it kind of deserves. But when you're getting a company that's just a website that is just so completely one-sided, to me it's absolutely completely just ridiculous. If they're just going to focus on Marvel because that's what they're going to shill and bootleg, then just call yourself comic book movie Marvel, which is what I've joked around on social media in kind of calling it that, because I just don't see the kind of balance. It's like sometimes they'll do something DC related or DC related here and there, and it's like they're just doing it, they put a tiny little bit in there just to show as if that they're trying to show that they really are a comic book movie site. And even there's been certain comic book movie news where they haven't even posted about it, and even I've made YouTubes about videos about it, or posted on social media about breaking news about that particular movie, where even before they have, because they're just totally focusing on Marvel. Or there's been like movie posters, like say like whether it's been like to do with the new Transformers movies, or The Flash, or say like the next Mission Impossible, or Dune, or although they have posted the post up there, but I posted up these videos on my YouTube channel ages ago, many hours after before they ever did. And then to me it's just, what I miss the days of whether or not you was a comic book movie fan or an action movie fan, where there was this complete balance, and you got an overall balance in kind of journalism of that genre of stuff, but you're not seeing it with comic book movie. And then especially with that guy Josh Wilding, he just basically just shills Marvel, and then do these stupid articles where it's 10 things that worked, he'll do things like 5 things that did work, 5 things that didn't work, ranking the best Marvel movies in order. Then he'll do another video, ranking the Marvel videos according to Rotten Tomatoes, and then start making all characters that we want to see in a sequel. And it's just this completely pointless articles. Like, they're just simply just doing just to milk and shill from that particular company. And for me, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just a poor, sloppy journalism. So yeah, comic book movie for me, my rant video of the week, with having complete poor journalism.